it gives me pleasure to introduce another speaker, the speaker who's been on before, Mr. Temi Elaramo from Kohath Investments, to give his presentation.
Thank you very much once again, and it's a pleasure to be addressing this audience. Well, this is going to take a different shape from my earlier presentation, and I'm just going to be doing more of walking us through the project and with special reference to the presentation material. I'm introducing one of our subsidiaries this time, which is Kohath Property Development Company, and is a niche real estate firm under Kohath Investment Group. Our focus, which should be of interest to most Nigerians here today, is basically to capitalize on the housing need in the country as a whole. And we are not a typical real estate firm that focuses on development of high-rise villas and what have you, but it's more an infrastructure company that caters for property acquisition for the middle of the middle class. How do we intend to achieve this? From a commercial perspective, Nigeria, as of today, has about 18 million units housing deficit. I mean, taking a population of 170 million. In other words, it's good to say that about 18 million of Nigerians don't have proper housing or don't have housing at all. And what are the factors affecting this? The factors affecting this are basically the high cost for land acquisition, which basically is a subset of the high cost of infrastructure, and also, of course, the high cost of construction. This is the niche we are capitalizing on to say we want to ensure that we can provide affordable housing for Nigerians, houses in the neighborhood of $100,000 plus or minus $25,000. How do we intend to achieve this? We intend to achieve this by going into joint venture partnerships with state governments, right, for the acquisition of the land, and also getting innovative ways for land for house construction. The major cost for housing development is the cost of aggregate materials and also the cost of labor. And to that extent, these two factors have been properly mitigated by us by basically launching our flagship project, which is the Land of Oni Abuja Development Company. It sits on 1,767 hectares of land. For those of us familiar with Lagos very well, that's Ikoyi and Victoria Island put together, of course without the lagoon. In Port Harcourt, in relation to Port Harcourt, that's about 4 times Transamadi. In Abuja, that's having the size of Maitama, Wusetu, and Katankwe put together. Now, the reason why we have to work like this is because for us to make the land affordable to Nigerians, we need to capitalize on the economies of scale in rolling out the infrastructure. Our focus is to roll out the infrastructure and sell the land parcels. Typically, you can call it a site and service, but site and service is when you are dealing with smaller estates. It's basically to roll out the infrastructure and sell land parcels at affordable prices, looking at between $30,000 to $40,000 per plot, which I think is affordable for a Nigerian that's just finished school and worked for about 5 to 10 years. Now, in achieving that, we also bring into world-class urban management principles, which ensures that you can manage. For example, in Dallas, Texas, you see houses go as low as brand new houses go as low as $120,000, which is about 20 million naira. I think that's a little bit affordable, and these are decent houses. Equivalent in Nigeria will probably be going for 50 to 60 million naira. Now, that is the niche we are playing in, and to that extent, we've launched the Abuja project. The Abuja project, we have the full land title, certificate of occupancy for 1,767 hectares. Is in partnership with the FCT, where we own 85%, the FCT owns 15%, and we've attracted preliminary investments from Mauritius by way of private equity, which has diluted us down to 60%, and we're also here today to see if we have other private equity investments and if AFDB, by way of the numerous billions we've been hearing, might find our project also attractive. How does this work? Oh my jeez. Okay. Okay. So, company background, I think I've taken that in the previous slide. I'm just going to show us, the underlying market opportunity. The Nigeria's economic expansion and increasing stabilization, limited large-scale professional property ownership, significant population migration. We are capitalizing also on the urbanization in the country at the moment. A lot of people are moving from the rural areas to the cities. Increased corporate demand for property, emergence of permanent capital from the pension companies, and attractive risk-adjusted yields. Our strategy for land of honey is employment of significant pre-sales and bulk sales. Of course, it's in partnership with Abuja, under the Abuja Film Village, and also the master plan ensures best-in-class assets and international best practices. I'm rushing through this, so I'm going to skip a lot as well. Now, the positives is long-term outlook for the Nigerian economy, the underlying real estate market opportunity. Also, we've consummated a strategic alliance with Sales Suites, management, and the concerns. Let me go to the concerns. The Nigerian country risk needs to prove its ability to maintain its current stability and the possibility of negative change in local political situation. And the cost of Naira infrastructure debt financing, in other words, cost of financing infrastructure using the Naira is a little bit expensive. Those are our current concerns. However, that is swam with a unique investment opportunity and also macroeconomic the dynamics. Let me give an example of the macroeconomic dynamics. In Abuja alone, at the Lands Bureau, we have about 1 million land applications. Right? In other words, people seeking for land. Now, as big as the land size is, it can only cater for about 15,000 land plots. So in other words, you can see that the demand is not scratching the surface. And why is that the case? It's because most properties are very expensive in Nigeria. They're very, very expensive. It doesn't really tally with the minimum wage. And that's the niche we are trying to capitalize on. Kohath Property Development Company is the holding company, and apart from the Abuja assets, we are also in talks with the Greater Port Harcourt Housing Authority and also with the Lekki Free Trade Zone. And any potential investor in Kohath Property Development Company taps into the bouquet of investments in the 3 largest cities that we have in Nigeria, which is Abuja, Port Harcourt, and in Lagos. And you have access to upwards of $500 million available land assets, which we all know that with property, it's more of appreciation, most especially when you are starting from the bottom of the value chain. Oof. Sorry, good. This is the land of Oni in relation to Abuja. It's about 15 kilometers from the airport and about 20 kilometers from central Abuja town. Sorry. Business plan review. Okay, these are the income generation profiles for the company based on a potential investment of, say, 20% equity in the land of Oni business. Gross income, which in comparison with EBITDA, they are the same because in Nigeria you have the pioneer status, which is for the first 7 years of operation, and also you also have a corporate tax holiday. So it's basically being seen as a project, and there's really not much you are paying in terms of taxes. That's also an attraction for foreign investors. We are looking at an equity to debt mix of 25 to 75%. And cash equity to shareholders. I'm sure we'll have more detailed discussions along these lines with any potential investor. And I have the brochures with me, the limited numbers that we have, but it basically captures what has been done so far, site location, and the vision for the project. Almost done. Returns analysis. Based on the investment we're looking at, the average IRR is sitting in the neighborhood of 65 to 3%. That's looking at an average property value capital appreciation of 5% annually, which I think is very conservative. In Nigeria, property, because that's the safest way to keep investable funds, The capital appreciation in property is actually more significant than that, but those are the areas we are looking at, and this is sensitized towards the amount of investments that you receive. Investment structure and governance, board seats available, the whole 9 years. Use of funds will be directed purely at towards the execution of the project. Yeah. I think that's about it at the moment. It's read. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Temi. That's it's a wonderful presentation. Thank you. I have a very, very quick question because you very skillfully brought us back in on time here. Other questions, if you don't mind, we can pose to Temi at lunch. But you mentioned some of the other projects that may come online under this type of model. When do you see those potentially? For example, you mentioned Lekki. When do you see those as being as happening?
Okay. Currently, we are at advanced talks with Lagos State on a similar project. Actually, there's actually going to be named Land of Honey as well. For that, as we are at advanced talks, we're just starting discussions with Greater Port Harcourt. My staff that is basically in charge of that business unit is not here. Might probably be able to give more information on that. But I must mention that it's not only about the land assets alone. We are also bringing in a modular housing factory from Germany that can build up to 500 houses monthly, right? And the cost of building those houses using precast concrete, right, which is more durable than what we call our traditional brick and mortar, is significantly lower than what you have anywhere on this continent. And as such, combining the cost of land, cheap cost of land, affordable cost of land, and also the affordable cost of building the houses together, I think we should be able to develop houses to Nigerians under $100,000. And I mean, coincidentally, the NHF fund for middle-income earners is pegged at 15 million naira, which is about $90,000. So that's our target. And I think with that, we can tap into the 18 million housing deficits in the continent as a whole, and futuristically speaking, scale over to other urbanized cities across the continent.
Well, I think that's an excellent plan that the company has. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please show your appreciation for Temi. Thank you.